Have you ever wondered how a song meant as a complete joke ended up dominating the Billboard charts and playing in every stadium? We all know these tracks. They feature ridiculous lyrics, strange dances, and artists who disappeared right after. But despite the critics hating them, millions of people bought the records and kept them alive. Today, we are counting down 10 silly one-hit wonders that became global anthems. Number 10, Macarena by Los Del Rio, released in 1993. Picture a private courtyard party in Venezuela, 1992. A local flamenco dancer steps into the center, moving with such hypnotic grace that two middle-aged Spanish gentlemen simply cannot contain themselves. Antonio Romero spontaneously shouts out a joyful blessing to her body. That impulsive moment of admiration became a masterclass in studio engineering when the Bayside Boys transformed it. They layered a driving electronic bass line, added an anonymous English female vocal, and brilliantly sprinkled in a sampled laugh to give the track a cheeky personality. The commercial climax was undeniable. It commanded the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 for 14 weeks, moving over 4 million copies in the USA. Critics called it a puzzling trend, but they failed to see its unifying power. Los Del Rio gave the world a priceless gift of pure, unadulterated joy. It is the defining silly one-hit wonder that became a global anthem. A goofy, spontaneous compliment turned into a massive stadium ritual. These two gentlemen never charted again in America, embracing their one-hit wonder status, but they taught us that a simple, silly rhythm can break down all cultural barriers.
Now don't you worry about my boyfriend, the boy whose name is Vitorino.
Number 9, Barbie Girl by Aqua, released in 1997. A bizarre Danish art exhibition featuring plastic dolls stuffed inside a flying saucer sparked one of the most polarizing cultural anomalies of the decade. Songwriter Soren saw those dolls and decided to craft a brilliant satire about Western consumerism, disguised perfectly under a layer of bubblegum pop.
I'm a blonde steamboat girl in a fantasy world.
The genius of this track lies in its extreme vocal contrast. The producers used the legendary Roland JV1080 synthesizer to create a shiny, elastic soundscape. Over this beat, Renee Diff delivered a gritty, almost villainous vocal performance, directly clashing with the impossibly high, squeaky delivery of Lena Nystrom.
You can touch, you can play.
This plastic masterpiece moved over 8 million copies worldwide and hit number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. It sparked utter outrage from the toy manufacturer, leading to a massive lawsuit. Yet, a federal judge dismissed the case, famously advising both sides to simply chill.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Yeah.
Aqua faded from the American charts after this, cementing their one-hit wonder status. But they left behind a surprisingly enduring global anthem. What felt like a silly, colorful joke about plastic life was actually a clever critique of toxic beauty standards. If this plastic anthem brought a smile to your face today, please subscribe to our channel so we can continue preserving these musical memories for future generations.
Hiya, Bobby.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go for a ride?
Sure, Ken.
Jump in.
Number 8, Mambo Number 5 by Lou Bega, released in 1999. Imagine horror legend Stephen King playing a cheerful dance track on an endless loop for months. He listened to this upbeat rhythm constantly while writing a dark novel. The obsession went so far that his wife actually threatened him with a divorce. That perfectly illustrates the incredible hypnotic grip of this exact melody.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the car, so come on, let's ride.
The journey started when a young artist discovered a 1949 Afro-Cuban instrumental by Damaso Perez Prado. Vega was deeply fascinated by the glamorous swing era and wanted to honor it. He decided to use this vintage brass section as a vibrant musical canvas. Over this canvas, he casually listed 7 fictional former lovers.
Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side.
Inside the recording booth, this project became a brilliant masterclass in blending distant eras together. The producers skillfully layered explosive 1940s horns over a crisp 1990s electronic drum beat. Vega then delivered a remarkably smooth spoken word vocal performance. His charming delivery effortlessly bridged modern hip-hop with classic cabaret elegance. Selling 8 million copies, this delightfully silly concept made listeners feel an absolute surge of confidence. Everyone suddenly felt like they were strutting through a Havana nightclub in a sharp suit. Lou Bega never replicated this massive success, securing his iconic one-hit wonder status. Still, he gave us a global anthem celebrating vintage swagger.
Here I am, a little bit of you makes me your man.
Number 7, Blue Daba Dee by Eiffel 65, released in 1999.
I'm blue, dabba dee, dabba die, dabba dee, dabba die.
A simple piano chord and lyrics about a lonely guy surrounded by the color blue started everything. To push this track beyond Italian borders, the band desperately needed a catchy universal hook. They created a completely meaningless string of gibberish words out of pure linguistic frustration. Fate ultimately chose those random sounds to rewrite the history of modern dance music.
Yo, listen up, here's the story about a little guy.
Inside their audio laboratory, the producers pushed vocal tuning software to its absolute extreme limits. They intentionally distorted the lead vocals to generate a robotic and futuristic sonic texture. This mechanical voice was then flawlessly paired with a bright and glittering synthesizer melody. Without even realizing it, they accidentally engineered the gold standard sound for the entire Eurodance era. Mainstream critics relentlessly attacked the song, calling it a repetitive and painfully bland auditory experience. However, millions of listeners worldwide felt a hypnotic state of euphoria instead of annoyance. Selling 8 million copies globally, it provided a beautiful sense of isolation wrapped in a driving beat. It became a massive phenomenon that commanded the number 6 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. Eiffel 65 vanished from the American mainstream shortly after, securing their definitive one-hit wonder status. Yet their creation evolved from a silly vocal experiment into an undeniable global anthem. Chanting those fabricated words remains a mandatory ritual at every major nightclub around the world. They prove that sometimes absolute nonsense is the perfect language to unite millions of people.
I have a blue house with a blue window.
Number 6, Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, released in 1997. Watching a heavily intoxicated man repeatedly stumble and fall outside a local pub sounds like an unlikely inspiration for a masterpiece. Yet, guitarist Boff Wally saw immense beauty in how this stranger stubbornly kept standing back up. That raw display of human stubbornness birthed a surprisingly profound message about resilience. A completely underground punk band decided to turn this drunken spectacle into an unforgettable stadium chant. Inside the studio, these rebellious musicians engineered a brilliantly chaotic collision of musical genres. They aggressively stacked dozens of vocal tracks to recreate the rowdy atmosphere of a crowded bar. The producers then injected heroic brass instruments and gritty punk rock guitars over an incredibly catchy dance beat. This masterful blending transformed a simple pub song into a highly polished pop powerhouse. The mainstream success was absolute, shifting 3 million copies and reaching number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. Hardcore punk fans furiously labeled the band as sellouts for creating such a commercial pop track. However, ordinary listeners found profound catharsis in screaming the famous lyrics about getting knocked down. The track essentially served as a vital shot of mental adrenaline for the working class.
Get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
Chumbawamba never scored another hit in America, cementing their status as the ultimate one-hit wonder. Still, they gifted humanity a deeply silly drinking song that miraculously became a monumental global anthem. It remains mandatory listening at massive sporting events to instantly revive defeated athletes and tired crowds. They beautifully proved that a song about drinking whiskey and vodka could inspire an entire generation. Number 5, I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred. Released in 1991. Two brothers managing a local London gym grew incredibly tired of watching narcissistic men constantly flexing their muscles in the mirrors. Out of pure frustration, Richard Fairbrass suddenly ripped off his shirt and began mockingly singing about being too attractive for his clothes. That sarcastic and spontaneous locker room joke somehow transformed into an absolute cultural phenomenon.
I'm too sexy for your party. Too sexy for your party. No.
The true soul of this track lies in its brilliant musical borrowing and deadpan vocal delivery. The producers cleverly built the entire rhythm around a modified bass line from guitar legend Jimi Hendrix. Richard then delivered his vocals with a completely emotionless tone, directly contrasting the sparkling 1990s dance beat.
I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt.
Major British radio stations initially refused to play the song, dismissing it as a cheap and ridiculous joke. However, ordinary listeners instantly connected with its brilliant self-deprecating humor and joyful energy. The track gave everyone a safe space to act completely arrogant and silly on the dance floor without any fear of judgment. It proudly claimed the #1 spot in the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 consecutive weeks.
Too sexy for Milan, New York, and Japan.
Right Said Fred never conquered the American charts again, cementing their iconic one-hit wonder status. Yet their silly song about a cat and a shirt remains a deeply beloved global anthem today. If you are still enjoying this countdown, please comment on the number 3 below to help the algorithm recommend this video to other older music lovers. Number 4, Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas, released in 1974.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Creating a legendary track in the final 10 minutes of a rented studio session sounds absolutely impossible. Producer Bidu and singer Carl Douglas desperately needed a quick filler song for the back of a vinyl record. They hastily wrote lyrics, capitalizing on the massive Western obsession with Bruce Lee and martial arts movies. Destiny miraculously chose those rushed 10 minutes to create one of the best-selling singles in history. Inside the studio, the producer performed a brilliant musical alchemy by aggressively mixing Eastern and Western elements. He combined a classic Moog synthesizer with a highly exaggerated Oriental melody over a driving disco beat. The defining martial arts spirit actually came from the completely unscripted shouts of huh and ha in the background. These spontaneous vocal sounds perfectly transformed a basic dance track into a vibrant theatrical audio experience. Elite music critics relentlessly mocked the track as a cheap and ridiculous joke designed to exploit a trend. However, ordinary listeners turned it into an 11 million selling monster that dominated the Billboard Hot 100. Older generations remember this melody acting as an instant joy switch that brought pure excitement to any room. It encouraged millions of young people to rush onto the disco floor and perform imaginary karate chops together.
Those kids were fast as lightning.
Carl Douglas never secured another spot in the top 10, solidifying his legendary one-hit wonder status. Yet his creation remained immortalized in countless comedy films and animated blockbusters for decades to come. A rushed song featuring cartoonish martial arts shouts perfectly embodies a silly concept turning into a global anthem. It stands as a beautiful reminder that music does not always need to be serious to bring people together.
It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part.
Number 3, Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus, released in 1992. A failed track initially titled Do Not Tell My Heart was completely ignored by audiences in the late 1980s. However, an unknown artist named Billy Ray Cyrus felt an undeniable cosmic connection upon hearing the rejected demo. Despite fierce resistance from his own record label, he stubbornly insisted on claiming this exact melody.
Don't tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart.
Inside the recording studio, producer Joe Scaife performed a masterful crossover experiment to strip away the traditional twang. He brilliantly dressed the track in arena rock elements by adding chest-pounding drums and sharp electric guitars. These heavy sounds blended perfectly with the incredibly masculine and raspy vocal delivery of Cyrus. They effectively built a powerful bridge between country roots and modern mainstream pop appeal.
And if you tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart.
Country music purists were initially outraged, polarizing the community by calling it the death of traditional songwriting. Yet, everyday listeners were completely hypnotized by a primal sense of freedom hidden within the driving rhythm. The song erased class divides, inspiring housewives and mechanics alike to stand up and passionately line dance together. It offered a joyous escape for a society craving simple and unpretentious entertainment.
I just don't think you'd understand.
The track exploded to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 while selling over 1 million physical copies. Cyrus never reached this level of crossover pop dominance again, confirming his legendary one-hit wonder status. Still, a silly dance craze featuring a mullet and a made-up phrase became a true global anthem. He proved that sometimes a brilliantly simple rhythm can permanently reshape an entire music industry. Number 2, Cotton Eye Joe by Rednecks, released in 1994. Three Swedish record producers decided to conduct an incredibly bizarre musical experiment. They took a traditional pre-Civil War American folk song and reimagined it through the lens of a fictional hillbilly band. This seemingly puzzling cultural collision birthed an unstoppable sonic force.
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
The production process was an artistic clash of completely contrasting genres. They sliced a frantic country fiddle loop and blended it with exaggerated southern vocals. The producers then dropped these elements over a heavy electronic techno rhythm. This masterfully controlled chaos created a brilliant sound nobody had ever heard before. Music critics were horrified, calling the track pure blasphemy against traditional country music. However, partygoers across the globe experienced it as an explosion of pure joy. Whenever that energetic fiddle plays, your brain instinctively forces you to stomp your feet. It dominated European charts and conquered North American clubs with its infectious energy. Rednecks remained a strange European anomaly, permanently cementing their legendary one-hit wonder status. Yet their creation became a mandatory ritual at every major sporting event in America. Swedish producers pretending to be American farmers singing techno perfectly defines a silly global anthem. They beautifully proved that an absurd idea can unite thousands in pure rhythmic celebration. Number 1. Mickey by Tony Basil, released in 1981. Taking a forgotten British boy band track and transforming it into a massive cheerleading anthem requires absolute visionary genius. A brilliant choreographer named Tony Basil saw massive untapped potential in a rejected song originally titled Kitty. She cleverly changed the name to Mickey and put on her old high school cheerleader uniform. This incredibly bold decision propelled a 38-year-old dancer to the absolute top of the global music charts. Inside the recording studio, this energetic track became an architectural masterpiece of pure rhythmic construction. The most prominent sound was not a traditional instrument, but rather the thunderous clapping and heavy stomping feet. Basil expertly wove authentic cheerleading choreography directly into the driving beat of the audio track. This created an overwhelming stadium atmosphere that made listeners feel like they were surrounded by a massive crowd. Many elite commentators dismiss the track as a completely hollow and ridiculous cheerleading chant, without any real artistic substance. However, an entire generation of teenagers watched the colorful music video on television and felt incredibly empowered. It encouraged young girls everywhere to confidently shout the catchy chorus without feeling any shame or embarrassment whatsoever. Tony Basil never secured a second hit song, firmly establishing her as a legendary one-hit wonder. Yet her brilliant creation remains the absolute holy grail of cheerleading routines across the entire world today. Turning a silly high school chant into a massive pop record perfectly defines a global anthem. It serves as our glorious number 1 reminder that pure infectious energy will always conquer the music industry. We just counted down 10 ridiculous songs that somehow conquered the entire world. From a massive lawsuit over a plastic doll to Swedish producers singing country techno, these tracks prove one simple fact. A song does not need any deep lyrics or a serious message to become a massive hit. It just needs a catchy rhythm that makes people want to have fun. If you enjoyed reliving these musical memories today, hit the subscribe button to help our community grow. And tell us in the comments below, which of these silly one-hit wonders is your absolute favorite?